How do we know if it is working? Manage streams. Yeah. What the fuck is that? What the fuck? My God, that scared the living daylights out of me. Is that live? Yes, I'm gonna guess that it's live. It says it's live. Hello. I take it that's working. I just had a biggest jump scare of my life. Showing me about telling me about wildfires. Oh, not what I wanted. Oh. So good evening all. This is our first live stream. This is going to be a bit weird because it's not like gaming. So yes, it's good to see everybody come together in one place. Let me see if I can make sure I get this chat thing correct so I can see live. And I think that's all working. And as long as everyone can hear me okay, then that's all good. I hope you've all had a good good Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Got yourself a drink ready. Oh, right. I'm going to try and keep an eye on chat as well. But I'm also going to plod on with what we're going to try and do tonight. The router I ordered didn't arrive. It'll be arriving tomorrow. I have ordered this MikroTik now. So I will be able to, we will be able to get one unboxed and go through setting it up. So that'll be arriving tomorrow, as long as Amazon delivers okay. And I'm going to test this one probably behind my Unify first. And use it just to do the peering stuff first and maybe put a Raspberry Pi behind it as like a test point. And then I'm slowly, once I come back off holiday and stuff like that, I'm probably going to look then to replace the Unify gateway with this device as the main gateway so that I can at least have more control over the routing. And then I might want to do a couple of videos about spreading some fiber around the house as well, which the wife will thoroughly enjoy, no doubt. But what we'll have to do is we can set up the peering on the virtual MikroTik, and we'll go through that. And we're going to go through some route selection stuff. So this is going to be quite in depth. So I need the MikroTik route selection. This is DN42. This is who we're going to be connecting to. I have my registration all in place. So if we search Null0 Labs, we should see, there we go. We are, yeah, we're going to do the CHR on here. So we're running if I bring it up for you, MikroTik, we are running the CHR 23.3. So I think that's the latest release. We're running it with the one that's running at the moment is 2 CPUs and 2 gig of RAM. And I think from what I've read, looking at their website, they seem to prefer, even if you were to run Router OS on your own devices, it seems to be that they prefer you to what do you call it? Run it as the CHR rather than bare metal. Yeah, it's a 1 megabit unlicensed on that one. I'm going to peer. I went through last night looking through. I'm going to peer with this one. I am going to peer with. I'm going to peer with at least 3 of them tonight, just to see how it works, and then I'm going to go through setting up the route filters and stuff like that. Because in the previous video, we were advertising the stuff out as a network out, and then I spent some time last night and saw how to do it as a what do you call it? As a filter. Hello there. Hi, love your vids from Frankfurt. Nice. I spent a lot of time in Frankfurt, dude. I spent a lot of time in FR8, in Equinix. Spent a lot of time in Langen. I used to work for Fujitsu Socionext, so they had their offices there in Langen. So I used to spend a lot of time there, and in Braunschweig and Munich. So we had 3 offices in those locations, and then my previous role as well, I spent a lot of time in Germany again. My boss has always said to me I was like a closet German. Automation. I don't know. That's a difficult one. I find automation to be, it's one of those things where I'm one of those people where I prefer to touch the command line and do things myself. I don't trust endless automation going on in the background. I like to verify things, but I think there's a place for it where, especially like when you want to do things repeatedly or set up a base config and you can set some standards and it pushes it, and then you know that those options are always going to be the same. So I think some of those things, and I think the only way to do it again is just to jump onto Eve, and then you can easily run your automation scripts against the devices that you've got running on EVE-NG or GNS3 and just test. I'd say you've got the option to put plenty of plugins into VS Code, so that it can help you with all of the typos, etc. Right, so let's bring up this Winbox. Obviously, that's not going to be correct. What I've done is I've gone ahead and I have, because I didn't know if we should use a separate WireGuard interface for each peer on the DN network, but I've I've opened on the firewall 3 separate individual ports to an IPv6 address, and I'm going to put an IPv6 address on this router, a public one, and we're going to use that to do the peering. How long have I been doing networking? I've been doing this job, been doing networking since the late 2000s, so a very long time. A very long time, very, very long time. Definitely over 25 years. I was back in the day of when you didn't have Wi-Fi. It was just my first home network was a BNC 75 ohm cable from my bedroom to the front room. So I've been working in IT since I was about 18 years old. It's like one of my first jobs. So yes. So you can do 0, over each tunnel. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're just gonna push to each tunnel. So what we'll do is we'll get this set up first. So we'll set up the router. Might as well get into one, and God, it's hot today. Yeah, so it's definitely been a long time, a very long time of working. If you do multiple peers, set a single time, you can't use them. Okay, and I'm gonna, I'm going to do this as well using, we're going to do multi-protocol BGP, and we're going to do extended next hop for each of the tunnels. So WAN 1, this is going to be our WAN. I'm going to put it as a comment because I discovered I could do that last night. So we'll do that as a WAN. ETH2, I am going to sit that, and so that we're going to the routes that we get from DN42, we're going to advertise them using iBGP to this internal router afterwards. The dog is plodding backwards and forwards. So this one will be our inside interface. So that'll be inside. We'll call it inside. They're all inside, outside. So yeah. So those are the two interfaces we're going to be working with. We're going to set an IPv6 address. And that is, if I do an NS lookup on it, it's going to be this public IP. So I want we're going to want this public IP address on here. That's a /64. That's on the WAN one. So that's our public IP address. So that's the public IP on the WAN side. What we'll do, and then we said we're going to bring up a WireGuard. We need a new WireGuard, so we'll call this one WireGuard 1. So we've got a public interface, WireGuard 1. Let's set the port on this. So this needs to be 51821. 51821. I did 21, 22, and 23. So that's the first WireGuard 1. Let's do another one, WireGuard 2. And that one will listen on 81522. And a third one just for good measure. And that one will listen on 81523. So those are those. So we need peers. That's what we need next, isn't it? Peers. So we've got public IPv6 address. We need a default route for that, won't we? Yes, we would. Or has it already picked one up? It's already picked one up. Okay, so what IP? Yes, it would have already picked one up because it would have picked one up as a DHCP. Addresses. Let's check that. What is Google's IPv6 address? Google IPv6 DNS. Let's just test that we can reach that. Tools, ping. One. No route. So we definitely don't have a route. So let's copy that address. And go back to the routes tab. IPv6 routes. We need a default route to that gateway address of .1. Click on OK. So that should get us IPv6 internet access. Ping again, get an echo reply. Perfect. Right, so we've got this WireGuard, we've got this MikroTik connected to the IPv6 internet. And we've got our 3 WireGuard interfaces. So now that it can reach IPv6 internet, let's bring up our first peer. We want to add our first peer. Do they have? They don't have Frankfurt. Maybe so. We'll peer with Nuremberg instead as our first peer. Well, actually, no. We'll probably peer with London on the first one, and then the next one we'll peer to somewhere else. We'll peer to Frankfurt. Right. So this wants a WireGuard. So we should be able to do London1.Null0 Labs.net. :81521 because I have set up a DNS entry for that as the IPv6 as well. So now if we use the first WireGuard port, let's actually name that for what we're going to use it for. So we're going to use this to qubit WireGuard WG1 hyphen. And then we want the public key. So we give them our public key. Don't need IPv6, IPv4. They can auto assign the IPv6. We are going to use this, and we are going to use this. Invalid endpoint can't be. Okay. Maybe it can't resolve that then. Let's give it the address instead. IPv6 addresses, public IP address. So I'm going to put that in brackets. 81521. Invalid endpoint, check that it's resolving. 8. I'm putting the wrong port. 51821. 51821. 51821. Numbers are hard. Let's actually test that then. Make sure that I've London1.Null0 Labs.net. That's better. Right, okay. So let's now create a peer, put their details in. So peers, new peer. Their public key was that. Their endpoint is this. And we're going to, was it 20039, 20039. So interface, public key, endpoint, allowed address is IPv6. Don't think we need to worry about IPv4 though, because we're just going to allow anything through the tunnel. We can lock it down later, and then we'll do a persistent keep alive. Okay, we have RX and TX, so we are connected to them. So we should see. Okay, we have a handshake. Now we need to get the BGP part up. Now we just need the BGP part up. So how many other people in chat are paired with DN42 themselves? Because what would be good is that once they get the actual physical hardware, is that we can put it online, put say like a test host behind it, like a speed test box or something, and peer with Null0 Labs followers and subscribers for testing and for sending routes backwards and forwards. So that would be cool. Right, so peering. So that's the tunnel. So next we want a peering. So we're going to want to use some of our IP address space. So this is our IPv4 address space. We have 172.20.224.0/26. I'm going to break it down into some little /28s. So we'll use the first one, /28, for the inside interface address. So 1/28. And from our IPv6 allocation, if we go back to our Explorer, and we look ourselves back up again, we have this /48. So if we use we'll use the first one. So IPv6 address, new. We will use .1 /48. We're using our very first. Oh, /64, sorry. So we'll use the first one. So that's the IPv4 IPv6 address. We're going to need, as we've broken those down into subnets, we're going to need to pull those up for the BGP. So if we go to our IP4 and go to routes, we can see that yes, we have this /28 on here, but it's not our /26. So we're going to do 172.20.224.0/26, which is our aggregate address, and we'll black hole that. And I'll put a comment there, call it our pull up. So that's the same as doing that IP route to Null0 on Cisco. So that's our pull up route for our aggregate, because we don't want to advertise all of these smaller subnets towards our peers. So that's for our IP4. Let's do our IPv6 routes. So again, here we've taken our allocation, and we've taken the first subnet, our first /64 out of our 48. And again, we're going to need a pull up on there as well. So what we can do is I can cheat and just copy that because it's the main one. I'll add a new pull up. So the whole route, pull up, and we'll black hole that as well. So that should enable us to advertise our /48 and our /46 via our BGP peering. So routing. Let's get the session up. So we did this the other day, so we'll just call this AS 424242191915 because that's our AS number. We can check that by looking at the registry. That's the AS number that we have been allocated. So we'll put that there. And I'll just say our AS is 4242421915. And we'll do a connection, new connection. And this is going to be our connection to these guys. So we're going to need their AS number. Which is this. So the remote AS is that. The remote address is this because you're doing the link local. So then we're also needing to set the interface, and the local address they generated for us is this. And again, we need to set the interface. And it is, I think it's eBGP peer we have to use. We'll enable multi-hop. And we will call this by its name. So that, using that instance, we are doing IPv4 and IPv6 over this peering. We're not doing BFD. We're not doing any filtering yet. We'll do that in a minute. And we hit OK. And we don't get anything. Routing, no session. Okay. What did we do wrong? Maybe we don't need multi-hop for them. And we're connecting to them. That's our AS. We're doing IPv4, IPv6. That's their remote address. Actually, let's test that. Let's make sure that we can ping that first. Tools, ping that over that interface. Yes, we're getting a reply. So we do have connectivity. So that's the remote AS, that interface. That's our interface address. Them is set as maybe it's the multi-hop. No route to host. Oh, it's using, oh, they're using IPv4. I don't want to do that. That's not going to work. Why are they doing IPv4? I told you I want that as I want an IPv6 address. Maybe they don't. Okay, let's be very specific that we're using IPv6 then. Maybe that is the problem. So let's copy that. Let's say to them that yes, we are definitely using an IPv6. I'll have to verify this afterwards. Edit the peering. So where's the deployment one? Refresh. Why are you using... They're trying to reach an IPv4 address for some reason. I don't want them to do that. Maybe if we drop the peer in and we peered with their what did we we peered with them, so maybe that's can we do an NS lookup for their IPv6 address? Yes, let's try their IPv6 direct as well, rather than relying on that. Disable, enable. There we go. Now it's saying IPv6. Okay, so tunnel is IPv6 to IPv6. They're allowing everything through. So but we've still got the issue with our peering. Okay, it's not bringing a session up. We have an invalid empty. Okay. BGP. Why is that not coming up? Because the tunnel's definitely up. and I can ping the endpoint, so I don't understand why it's not coming up. No route to host. So his neighbor address is that. Did we set that? Did we set that address? Probably not. No, we didn't. No, we didn't set our link local address. There we go. Right. Details. So this is our side. Need to remember that then. So we're going to set that address on our WireGuard interface. We're not going to advertise it. And then I suppose technically we can remove that other link local one, the automatic one, because we don't need it. And now we should have a BGP session up, which we do. Good. Right. So dashboard, refresh, established. There we go. We have our first peer. We are peered to London 1, established. Ignore 2 of the routes that we sent it. Yeah, we need to set up some filtering. So we will do that next. But let's just have a quick check to see if we've got routes coming in. Routing, IPv6, routes. Yes, we do. Look at them climbing. Right, so we have 1,221 IPv6 routes in total so far. Where's the IPv? Oh, there we go. Prefix count. So they sent us 2,332 routes. We better go and set up some filtering now as well. So let's do just a basic filter at least, so that we're not advertising junk to them. So under the firewall, we will do I'm going to do an address list. So I'll do, we'll call this DN42 -out -v4. And we are going to advertise our prefix of 172.20.224.0/26. And then we want an IPv6 address list. We'll call this DN42 -out -IPv6. And where is our prefix? Back to the registry. That's our prefix. So I'll pop that in there. So all capitals -v. And we'll make sure we stay consistent. IPv4. So DN42 -out IPv4 IPv6. So we've got our 2 address lists. Now let's create our filter. So we go here to filter, and we can do a new, and we'll call this DN42 out. Now I think if I go to this filter wizard and cheat a little, action accept, if I put the prefix, at least it will build a little bit of the command for me, and then I can go from there. Just call that. So let's see what the syntax is. Okay. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to remove it. So this is my first one. So DN42 out. So what I want to do is I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to say if the destination is in DN42 out IPv4, or destination is in DN42 out IPv6, I then want you to accept it. Else, we're going to reject. And we'll just tidy that up just so that it's a little bit easier to read. So what we're saying here is if the prefix is in the IPv4 list, or if it's in the IPv6 list, I can accept it and send it out. Okay, pass the sanity check. So now if we come back to our routing, BGP, and we go to our connection, if we now go to filter, we should now be able to do output filter. And now, whereas like, remember on the last video, if you watched it, we used the output network where we just created the same address list name under the IPv4 and under the IPv6. And then we put multiple addresses in and then we stuck it under the output. Whereas at least now we can combine filters, and we're going to use the filter, I think, later to try and put some prefix BGP community stuff on there. So if we hit on OK, I'm just going to bounce that. So that should reconnect. Let's go back. And let's refresh and see what they're getting now. It's a shame Cisco didn't put like WireGuard into their networking options. Makes it so much easier, wouldn't it? Now the session's not coming back up. Yep, connected and static. Why is the session being so flaky? Long timer expired. I'm going to bounce the tunnel on that as well. Drop the tunnel, drop everything. Bring that tunnel up. Bring that up. Why is it not working now? All we did was put a filter on there and bounce it. No, that is all we did. Let's see that we can reach the other side again. Tools. Thing. Oh, we've got no route to host. Okay. Why not? Why have we got no route to host now? Definitely there. Outside at least. Okay, outside's responding. Let's turn it off and turn it back on again, just in case. It's something on here, so let's reboot you. Being very flaky. No, it says it's established. You're telling me that it rebooted that quick? Oh, blimey, these microtics boot up pretty damn sharpish then, don't they? Right, so if that's saying it's established, so under IPv4, they received one route, which is correct. We only sent them the /26. They accepted it. And they sent us, obviously, 1186 routes, and we accepted 1185. Be good to know what one we rejected. And then we look at the IPv6. We obviously sent the MAL /48 prefix. They accepted it. They sent us those. And we accepted that many of them. Probably we rejected our own prefix. Okay, so that looks like it's up. So let's go here and session, it's up. Right, okay, so the session is up and the outbound prefix filter is in place. So we've got one peering established. That will do for now. Let's get the other peering done. And then we'll come back and check the status on this one after. Also have another JD and Coke. I don't know. Again, it's a lot of the that's yeah, but that's the problem. The problem is that you spend a lot of time doing stuff in EVE-NG where you end up chasing your tail around, going, well, if I was on real hardware, this would just work. And then you look at it and then you go, why is it not working? And then you then go, oh, it's something to do with Eve. You restart Eve or you restart the device in Eve and it starts working again. So it's like anything, you can't beat having some real hardware in your hands to play with. What we could do is, because it was also complaining about the MTU on here, because my MTU on there is jumbo. So let's fix that. So let's go to interfaces. This one here, the actual MTU is 9216. So on OK. That will obviously bounce the session. How's the new job going? Any difference in work from your old to new place? Very different in work. Very different. Very different. I just sit at a desk all day doing a lot of designing stuff rather than getting to build stuff, which is what I enjoy doing. So yes. Log. Yeah, it's very different. I miss being able to travel around and yeah, do things. Sometimes you don't realize that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but hey, it's what happens, I suppose. Where was I? I was session is up still. I changed the MTU. That still says it's established. So that should, their web page will update, I think, once they catch up. So that's the first peering. We sorted that issue there in the log. Yeah, it seems happier now with that. Maybe it was an MTU issue on there, but it shouldn't do because I'm not using jumbos anyway. Right, so let's do our next peering. We said we were going to peer with these guys. And what we will do is we will peer to a German location on this one. Do they have? They do. They have a Frankfurt location. So I think we will peer this one to Frankfurt. So we'll have a peering to London with one provider, a peering to Frankfurt with another. So we're going to do WireGuard. We are going to do both of those. We're going to do a full table / transit. We are not going to enable IPv4. Not going to enable that. We're going to do everything over a link local. So, and I did read as well that there was some oddity again as well, where if we used the same link local address on a different tunnel, it can cause an issue. So we won't use the same one. We'll use a different one. Will they generate it for us? Maybe if we just leave it like that, maybe they'll generate us one. So the endpoint again, we want them to connect to us, which is going to be this one, and it's going to be on the WireGuard 2 interface. This one. We're going to need to set that to 51822. And we're going to use that public key. So the public key is that. And to use that, and it was 51822. 51822. 51822. So let's do FE80 : 1915. Okay, so we've requested our peering session. So again, let's go through. Well, they have a nice different interface. How's it going? Mental duplex. We are on to our second peering now. So we need to remember to set our interface for that, because last time I forgot. And who are we peering to? Edon. So hyphen Edon, so we can keep track of it. Create a new peer. We're going to use that interface. Their public. Where's their connection details? We're going to connect to that endpoint. I do want to be specific and make sure that they are giving us just the IPv6 address. CCNA. Oh, it's been a very long time since I did the CCNA. Thank God. I think I did my CCNA back in 2000, I think it was. 1999, 2000, one of those. So a long time ago. Never renewed it, never kept it up to date afterwards. So yes. And their port is 41. Can we just copy that? So that's their port. Well, best of luck though, dudes. Are you doing it as a boot camp, or are you just self-studying? How are you doing it? When I did mine, I did one of those boot camp style jobbies where we I went there for like 5 days, and then you basically got up, had breakfast, you had free snacks, you had like access to 24-hour access to the lab, you had a room on site, dinner, breakfast all included, and you basically went there for 5 days solid, did all of it, did everything you needed to do, and then at the end of it you did the exam. It was at the same time as well, they had people there doing their MCSEs. Do people still do MCSEs in this day and age? Microsoft MCSEs? I remember back in the day, I wanted to be a Microsoft MCSE, but I think it was just more because I wanted that Microsoft shirt. I liked that Microsoft MCSE shirt that they used to give you back in the day. And I think that was pretty much the only reason why I wanted it. Yeah. So we got our interface, we got our public key, we got our endpoint. Oh, they got rid of it, did they? We got our port. We need to allow IPv6 across there. I'm not doing a share key. That should be all we need. So there is our peering to Edon. MCSE was big back when, yeah, that was the thing. Everyone used to be taking their MCSEs, and it was like back when I used to smoke. I used to be a smoker, And it was like, you used to go outside. When we went there for that training session, you'd go outside and you'd have all of the network guys. We'd all be there huddled in our little group. And then all the MCSE people would come out and they would be huddled in their little group. And it was even then back when we used to have lunch and dinner afterwards. Back then, we didn't have things like EVE-NG or GNS3. You had, there was a tool called Boson Router Simulator, and it was very basic. It allowed you to have the very basic fundamentals of Cisco iOS for doing switching and routing, and that's pretty much it. And I mean, like the very basics of Cisco iOS, like 2000 style. But to use the product, you used to have a license code, and I figured out back then using a hex editor that you could sit there and watch when it came up with a license box and a debug tool, and you could then put your own license code in there and have full access to the tool. So all of us at the dinner table, everyone was passing me their laptops so that I could like give them all a license key on there for Boson Router Simulator. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days. Oh, yeah, everything's all Azure nowadays. Azure or AWS, isn't it? And so you have to end up now as a network engineer learning a lot more about things like VPCs. I did the Oracle certification quite a while back, which is similar to doing an AWS one. But again, it's pretty self-explanatory. You put a subnet block in place. You make sure you give a big enough block that you can subnet it down. I would try to, but I'm pretty much on the sort of whims of the time and stuff like that. I would say if you wanted some quick and easy videos on like how to like get like what you would need to know about BGP, funnily enough, the LinkedIn Learning has like I think they have 2 or 3 courses on there, one for OSPF and one for BGP, and both of those are pretty good. They have like an introductory one and an advanced one for both OSPF and BGP, and everything in those like 4 videos would cover anything that you would need to know about those 2 dynamic routing protocols. Most of the time they won't teach you anything about ISIS. Well, back in the 2000s they never did. They covered it very briefly. It was just like there's another routing protocol called ISIS. Back in my day they did a lot of things with things like RIP, and that thing as well, you get a lot of people posting online about things like RIP, EIGRP. Nobody should be touching those in this day and age. You're using either BGP or OSPF. And then if you're really in a service provider network, you're using ISIS. And so those are the 3 protocols you just need to concentrate on. And you just need to understand what each of their metrics are, and weights, and how you can manipulate them using either the cost or the bandwidths, etc. And so those videos on there will pretty much cover what you need to do. And it was like, there's no point in me reinventing the wheel, but you will see in a lot of my videos, a lot of that stuff gets used anyway, but a more real world application on how to use it. So we have I'm getting off track again. So this is going to be hard. Managing talking to chat. This is a bit different to sitting here trying to record a bit. So we've got to talk, have a drink, and make sure that we get that configuration right. But at least like we're not going to have 100,000 users screaming at us if we get it wrong right now. So that's the good thing. And that's the good thing about using these types of tools that you have available now, is that you can practice, make the mistakes without the fear of causing an issue. And if you're a DC tech, I'm highly jealous. I just love being in the data center aisle. You know, I could just probably sleep there on the cold aisle floor quite happily with the sound of the air, the white noise sound, and the air moving past me. All right, so that's our BGP session window. That's our WireGuard window. And where is IPv6? Before we forget to do it. So that is going to be our link local on our side of this interface. And if there is a dynamic one, yes, there is, we will remove that. And have I copied that? No, I haven't done that right. There we go. Typos. Numbers and words are hard. There we go. So that's our second inner one. Let's check to make sure that the tunnel is working. Yeah, that's the only problem. The only problem, as always, is when you're at more of the junior end of networking or technical support. It's always that either being on call or that rota type thing that can cause the problems. Years ago, I used to work in financial services, and we used to have to provide support for not just for the businesses that we had in London. They would obviously have offices that were outside of London, say like in Japan and other locations, and you'd have to be on this on-call rota, and you could end up getting a call at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're half asleep, and somebody's mumbling at you about something being down, and you're like, "Oh, what's she going about?" So yeah, I don't miss those days. I don't mind being an early bird, and I don't mind getting up. I don't mind getting up early to go and get stuff done, but I don't like being on doing that on call stuff. Definitely not. Definitely not. So why can't I ping that? So FE80, come on E9, and that's my side of the tunnel. It says that the tunnel's up because the tunnel's up and the MTU's okay. So that means the tunnel must be up. So why can't I ping it? Let's bounce that tunnel. That is quite annoying. That bing bing. So it should be out of that. Okay. That's their link local to my link local. And I told them it's FE80 1915. FE80 1915. Definitely put it on the right interface. Let's see if I can ping my FE80 Garcon 1915. I can. I'm responding. Maybe they're not responding to pings. Let's see if we can at least bring a tunnel, a BGP peering up to it then. So their AS number is that. So we want the BGP window. We're going to do a new connection. And it's IEDON. We're doing IPv and IPv6. the remote address, or the remote, that's our AS. Where's their AS? Am I going blind? There's their AS number. Their interface is not as nice as the other one though, is it then? Where is their bloody ASN number? Because that's mine. Let's have a look at their config sample. Oh, they want us to be a /64. Okay. The other one was a 128. Where is your ASN? Ah, there we go. So their ASN is that. I don't like their interface compared to the other one. The other one was better. Their port was this one. See, again, it's all about finding the information that you want. And that's going to go out of that interface. Going to be an EGB pair. Our address is going to be FE80, and I told him it was 1915. And again, that's going out of the WireGuard interface. So our ASN number, oh, we need to set it, don't we? 42, 42, 42, 1915. That and that. To that remote neighbor with that remote AS. And this is technically saying that remote neighbor update source, which port. We're doing that. Multi-hop. I'm not doing anything in here. Well, yes, we are. We're going to redistribute connected and static. And then we're going to filter. We only send them that. And let's have a look at this. It said that it wanted us to be a /64. There we go, it's up. And when we tried to ping them, see again, see, so everyone's all doing their own different things. See, if it's a link local address, a link local address should be a /128. In IPv6. So what was their remote address again? It was this one, wasn't it? Copy that. I hate this Apple keyboard. I'm seriously falling out of love with this Apple keyboard. So that's their remote address. Now it's responding. So they're using a /64 instead of a /128 on a link local, which I think they should be. See, that's what they're, see? That's why this one here doesn't have it. So again, unless you go digging to find the information, did it have it in the config? Where's that config thing gone? Oh, I did, yeah. /64 there. So we should update our peering afterwards. We'll do that to only allow those through the tunnel. But why are they using a /64 instead of 128? Okay. Right, so are we live? Imported. They sent us some routes as well. Established. So let's set that to dark mode so we don't stop blinding ourselves. So view my announced routes. There we go. We are announcing /26 and a /48 into Frankfurt directly peered. So then that means if we click on that, we should see that our subnet is available via this, and obviously this network is advertising our network out to others. But they've got the star next to it because we're directly peered with them. That's the path that this AS is going to take to get to us. So do they have like a ping tool or anything like this? They do. So let's do a trace route to from them to the ETH2 interface address, which we used as 172.20.224.1. So if we use their looking glass and they trace route to us now. Okay, nothing. Can they ping us? I would have thought that interface should be up. Nothing. Okay. What about the other guys? How are they doing? Refresh them. Established. Check tab for messages. IP transit. Your router does not provide packet forwarding, nor does it correctly use the route table from BGP. Really? What? Okay, what does that mean? Let's see, why not? Because all we're doing is we're advertising out, we're accepting everything that you're sending us. We're not doing anything. We're not doing anything weird. Can they ping us though? That'd be an interesting thing to see. Where is their tools? Do they have tools as well? They have a toolbox. Can they ping our 172.20.224.1? Unreachable. Two two four dot one. So something is not right. Let's make sure we can ping it at least. So ping 172.20.224.1. Okay. That's weird. Let's test if we put an IP address on here and see if we can ping that E2 interface. I don't understand why that's being held down. What about the IPv6 address? So not that one, this one here on ETH2. Can you ping that one? You go to your toolbox. Okay, so they can reach our IPv6 address. So we're announcing IPv6, okay. Let's have a look at their looking glass. And Frankfurt can ping our IPv6 address, okay. Can they trace route to us? Obviously they can. Directly connected, they can reach us straight away. So there's an issue with our 172.20.224.1 address. Not pinging. Okie doke. So, Ian. So let's put so this is .1. So 172.20.224.1/28. Anybody in chat know what an IP, the CEDAR or the /mask is for a CEDAR/28? And we'll put a .2 over here and we'll see if we can ping that one. And then we'll double check what's going on with our routes. So Ian, config T int G1 IP address 172.20.224.2 255.255.255.240. No shot. So if I now ping 172.20.224.1. Okay, so it's responding there. So why is it not coming through? Oh, maybe we do have to allow IPv4 through those tunnels then. You should double check that. Because we're advertising it. So, and then now if we go back to their looking glass, start with our first peer. Details, not that one, where's their toolbox? So they can ping our IPv4 address, and then it was 172.20.224.1. Hey, it's the tunnel. There we go. It's the tunnel. So maybe then, if we come back over here to these guys and we look at their looking glass, we send a ping. There we go, getting responses. So now they should also be able to trace route to our IPv4. So we should now have a path from Frankfurt, wherever this node is in Frankfurt. It is now taking this route over to us to reach, which is strange because obviously they're not going then direct to us then for our IPv4 at the moment. They're literally coming over to the first people that we're paired with, coming through their AS and then reaching us. maybe they'll update. So they're taking that route to reach our IPv4. Yep, so it's the WireGuard control plane. But then I think what we could do is their config sample here, that gave us a little bit more. So this is a little bit more along the lines of what it should be, because all of the IPv6 addressing is either going to be a link local subnet on the tunnel, or it's going to be the UCL, is it UCLA? IPv6 pool is out of this /8 for all DN42 members. This is for some, what did they say it was for? They have some cross interconnections. So these guys, their networks are subnetted out of these. So what we can do is we can test that theory. If we copy that and we come back over to our WireGuard, and what we can do is it's probably not going to allow me to do it that. Yeah, because it's the config, isn't it? Okay, then we will. It's only 3 of them. We'll do it one at a time. So IPv4. This network, the IPv4. And I suppose if you didn't want to access those services, you could ignore that. And then we were going to want to allow this /8. And the link locals. So add that. And we hit on OK. So that's how it should be. And that's over to that one. Let's drop the tunnel and let it reestablish. And then I bet that will kill off the bloody BGP peering again, no doubt. No, it's up. This should update now because we allowed IPv4 through the tunnel. So that should now work. So this should go green once their system refreshes it. So let's ping again. Okay, so this network, they can reach us happily from all of their nodes. We didn't change anything with them, so they can still reach us, so that's fine. That's all working. $19.15. It's funny though that they're deciding to use that path to us rather than the direct peering. So I wonder then if we are not advertising that to them correctly. And I do again, I remember seeing this last time where 42, 42, 42, 1915. Yeah, it's taking that. It should look like this. They should import it because it's a direct peering. So that's these guys. So BGP connection to them. Going to bounce the peering to them. Now that we're allowing it through there, maybe that's what it is. So let's bounce that peering over to them and let's have a look. Yeah, basically the IPv4, their looking glass shows that for them to reach that IPv, for this AS to reach our IPv4, they're receiving that route from another peer rather than, which is this peer that we're peered with, rather than going direct to us. So you can see they're going via 9114. So 39114 to then reach Null0 Labs is AS, which is 1915. So they're taking that route, but because we're directly peered to them, they should be able to just jump straight to us direct, like how this one is. So there's still an issue. But again, I remember seeing this last time when I was looking at it, and I think again I rebooted it and then it started working again. So we're using the same outbound filter, so there's no issue there. So yeah, so it could just be that it's got to propagate again because maybe we had the wrong issue. They also have this thing where they would like you to select your role. So this peering is a little bit where is it? There is a, see what they've got for problematic peerings. Do we shut up on this list? Okay, we're not on their list for any problematic peerings. Okay. Let's give it some time and see if it updates. Again, we're still waiting for these guys to update as well. Okie doke. Right, so we have 2 peerings online. Let's like really go for broke and add a third. Let's have a look at the routing table before we'd set up our iBGP. So this is, maybe this is struggling a little bit. Look at that. Yeah, that took some time to bring that up. There we go, 2000, 4000 climbing. And see, so you can see here that we've now got 2 paths. to the same networks. There'll be some that are coming in directly just from this secondary one, and others that are coming in from both. So this is the active one. And then this will obviously be the backup path. And then what we'll do is we'll change that filter, and we will set one of those peers to be like our preferred peer over the other one. How much memory is it using? Let's give this device another reboot just to clear up any issues. Whilst that's doing that, let's look at our last peering, which is rooted bits. Who wanted to peer with rooted bits? Somebody wanted to peer with rooted, was it rooted bits? Peer with rooted bits. Why did you want to peer with them? So let's have a look at their nodes. So where should we peer? Because we've done Frankfurt. And we want an IPv6. Maybe we should peer with a node in the US. So actually, if we look at that toolbox again, and we look at that ping, maybe to the land down under. Yeah, can you imagine what the latency is going to be on that? So, and I do think they did say that they want you to kind of keep it under like 100 milliseconds on the latency. I suppose we could. God, that's quite high over to the US. Yeah, that's quite high. It is quite high. Okay, so we'll move that over there. So we've paired with them. That's our first pair. That's our second pair. This is going to be our third one. What have they got? I suppose New York would probably be, or anything on that side. We could peer down to Sydney. Oh, actually, no, we could peer to Melbourne because Melbourne's IPv4 and IPv6. So we could peer to Melbourne. So Mel 1. So we'll have a peering to Frankfurt, London, and Melbourne. So peering, let's see if it will let us do it. So we want to peer with Melbourne 1. That's good. It knows our AS already. We're going to use FE80 colon 1915 2. We're going to use BGP multi-protocol, extended next hop. And we're going to establish the peering using IPv6, which I think should just be a given because we're doing that. Our tunnel address is our 1915 IP6 address. The port will be 51823. Copy that public key. Oh, Mr. Colon, typo again. Really? FE 80, Colon, 1952. Thank you. Right, so BGP session is not established. Yes, we know it's not. Right, so who are we peering with here? Bits. We'll call this one R bits. So peer 3, W3 hyphen R bits. Let's put a IPv6 address on there. So it was new. It was FE80 : 1952, wasn't it? 1952. I'm watching the deploy. We are. That's us. I'm going to look up, make sure that that's going to give me an IPv6 address only. It does. I'm just going to use the address just to make sure, because I'm not using IPv4 connectivity on there. I don't want to advertise that. That's going to go out of the RBits one. So a new peer, going to that endpoint, to that endpoint address. And we said their public key is this. $25. We will make sure that we allow all for now, and then we'll change that later. That should be it. So do you run that one then, dear? So we've got TX. So peer 3 connected there. I'm not receiving anything back. God, I remember using VYOS when it wasn't even called that. And I remember using it when Brocade basically took it and then destroyed it as a product. Yeah, I should probably do some more VYOS as well. It's very Juniper style configuration. So we're connecting to that endpoint, that public key. Yes, yes. From why am I not receiving anything? Not seeing any RX back though. What was the remote point? Was that? And we were 1952. Tools, ping, not VRF. We want R bits. unreachable. Okay, well, we're done. Just double check, make sure we didn't mess it up. 51823. We are allowing, that's our definitely, we copy the whole correct public key. Yes, we did. 51823. We said that we were FEAT : 1952. Yeah, it's trying to use FEAT 1952. Ping to FEAT : 207. Let's close some of these windows for the time being so we stop getting confused. Close the peering one. So let's have a look. We have body dynamic interfaces. Don't need those. So EDON is that one. We have that, which I suppose is a 1952/128. Yep. And we have that there. And we don't need that dynamic one. So we have our three. I'm going to turn that dynamic shit off. So 1, 2, 3. So we have our linked local addresses. Look back at our peers. We've still got nothing there. Drop the tunnel. So yep, 14, yep. Okay. Enable it again. So we are definitely transmitting. You're not sending us anything back. And this is coming back from a different host address. I'm going to try using the name. Just in. So we're going to go to that. The host address is that. And see, that then switches to an IPv4, which is not what I want. I want it to use IPv6. Oh, I'll have to connect to somebody else then, won't I? Well, I can pour myself a drink and see how long it takes you to resolve it. I definitely don't want to use that because it's resolving to, if I ping that directly, yeah, it's giving me the IPv4 address, which I don't want. I want the IPv6 address. Unless the latency is too high. So endpoint, we are going there. Definitely put the right port. 51915. 51915. We're allowing IPv6, IPv4. We've got a persistent keep alive. Click on OK. Go to our side. 1420, 1420, 8123. Let me just double check that I have allowed that port through the firewall. Unify Site Manager. The joys. Ports 51821, 51822, 51823, all there. and they are allowed through to that IP. Okay, so that's definitely there. The joys. View status. What does it say on the status page? Ah, be patient. Configuration changes may take some time. Hmm. Transmitting, not receiving. But again, as well, I'm transmitting and not receiving. I go to me. No, look at peers. I'm transmitting, but we're not getting anything back. We try a different node. Maybe we should try a different node. Can't do Sydney because that's only IPv4. We could try Madrid. Yeah, that's definitely what I did, wasn't it? Oh, 310 milliseconds. Maybe it's a latency issue. I'm going to test with a different peer. Let's try a different peer point just to rule out. Let's try a different node. Let's just pick. Let's pick the Spain one. Just to see. Well, can we create another peering? Let's go. Okay, let's add another peering. Let's do Madrid. Okay, will be FE80 colon 10. BGP multi protocol, extended next hop. IPv6. And my endpoint. So you go direct is that one. And the port is 51823. 51823, correct. And the public key for that one. Control-A, copy, paste, submit. Let's see if we can get into routed bits via Spain. That's taken its time. There we go. They're now seeing us directly through there. Oh, where's our IPv6 gone? Really? Our IPv6 route has disappeared now. BGP error. Let's what is going on with this box tonight? Let's stop it directly. Start it back up. Okay, so that's created the Madrid one. Let me go and pour a drink. That one says it's live. That one's timing out currently. Packet loss. Okay. It's imported the IPv4 route, not the IPv6. Joy, okay. I take it they're not going to be routing, they're not receiving it as well. Where are you? So that is established. They received it. Let's have a quick double check here. Try copy. So they are receiving. They can ping it okay. So they've got our IPv6 and our IPv4. So that node is happy. So then if we look at IDN one, refresh, it's not importing IPv6 routes now. And then if we have a look at them, so yeah, they're picking up the IPv6 route now from elsewhere. They're picking up from there. So again, the direct peering has disappeared again. But at least it's showing up again. It's just being flaky. Where is the right? Let's change this one over to Madrid and see what we get from that. So let's change the peer. On the R bits one. Hold on, hold on. I've seen my mistake. I've seen my mistake. R bits. Let's disable that. Enable it. So that one is correct. Tools, ping, R-bits interface. What was the Melbourne one? Melbourne should be that. We've got a reply from Melbourne. Let me go and pour a drink. Frankfurt, Melbourne, London. Wow. Oh. Right. Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Jimmy. Right. So we have a reply from Arbits now over the tunnel. Let me close that, maybe that's WireGuard. Still not seeing anything received there, but I sent traffic there. Is this the interface being funny? System. See, there was, yeah, see, there's TX and RX. Right, so let's tools, ping, it was that one by that interface. That's replying. Pigeon is only getting the IPv4 routes again. Let's not worry about Madrid for the time being. View status on Melbourne. That's working. Okay, we've got sent and received now, so that's a good start. Okie doke. I'm going to do the BGP session. I think maybe we might have some Eve issues, maybe. Let's double check everything. So we've got our peer 1, that's correct. Peer 2, peer 3, correct WireGuard interfaces. We'll update these in a minute. I don't understand why that's not showing the correct thing. I'm going to drop Winbox. I'm going to drop that a minute and bring it back up again, just in case. Just in case. Let's reboot that. Bring Winbox back up. I'll tell you one thing, that bloody thing boots damn quick. Maybe it'd be better once we get the real hardware delivered tomorrow. And then, but at least if we've got the 3 peers picked out, we'll be able to just replicate the config onto it. Right, WireGuard. Right, now they're all showing correct on this side. So again, either it's a shit show with EVNG being flaky. So we've got our 3 node tunnels established on there, routing. We have our session there. Now that one's been Do I need multi-hop on there? Because it's direct. I don't think we need multi-hop. I'm going to turn that off because I don't think we need it. I don't think we need multi-hop on there because it is direct. That one's just not coming up. But it says the remote is just IP on there. Okay. Let's get the routed bits peering done. New connection. R bits. Let's see what happens when we bring that one up. Yeah, because that one's being funky. Did they bring the IPv6 in? They're not bringing the IPv6 route in when they were before. I really don't know why. Okay, so what I do to that one. This is that. I'm that. It was that one, wasn't it? So that one. Remote address. I was FE80 Concon 1952, I think, for this one, wasn't I? Yes. eBGP peer. IAS 4242 42 1915. IP IPv4 IPv4 IPv6. Don't need multi-hop because it's directly to the tunnel interface. And outbound filter. Take that off. What is it? It's going to take multi-hop off all of these just for this. Oh, don't know why that's playing up now. Yep, yep. Correct interface, correct interface. Interface is correct, interface correct. That's correct. That interface is correct. That's correct. That's all correct. Oh, joy, dude. Getting off a plane and then having a look at this. So if we look at all the WireGuard peers, they're all up. And I'm seeing handshaking. So that's all good. Now waiting for there's the BGP section, sessions. So those ones look good. I think it's just the on the link local, because that one on EDOM was a /64. Do you want this one to be a /64 as well? But I was able to ping across without any issue when I tested. So I think the /128 default /128 is fine. Can test it and go /64. If it fucking comes up, then not a worry, dude. Don't worry too much about it. FE colon was it 208, wasn't it? So that's now unreachable. 207, sorry, is what I want. FE 80 colon 207 on arbits. Okay, it's replying with it set to /64. Is it a /64 here instead of a 128? Shouldn't be. It should just be a connection. No, just put that back. /128. I think the booze, the Jack Daniels and Coke has kicked in, dude. So that and that. Now we've got bloody instance coming up. So don't need the Madrid one. So let me just delete the Madrid one out of the way. So I'm not right. So Melbourne, view status. BGP session. Role peer. Where's that magic word? There it is, established. It is established. Is there a address on that side that we could ping through to? Or is there a looking glass on there? Does rooted bits have an address to test 2? Is there a so let's just double check everything again. So that's working there. That's now gone away. This is all established and fine. Status, everything's all good on the UK node one. All the IP of the root. Ah, yes. Okay. Rooted bits under the node section. Yeah. Let's check this one now as well. Okay, so they're now they're receiving our they're receiving our IPv6 now from rooted bits. Okay. They're being funky. Okay. Rooted bits. Go back. I want the node section. Yeah, let's just see if we can ping Osaka. Let's try and ping from this node here for now. Show IP in brief. So I'm gonna ping that. Oh no, actually no, because I need to put routing on there. Let's just do an internal an iBGP peer internal B4. No, I don't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, as this is like technically like the edge and it's paired with the 3 nodes, we'll do an iBGP peer over to here to the Cisco from the MikroTik, and then we'll take one of our other /64s and we'll take the other /28 out of our /26 and we'll advertise them back using IBGP, and then we'll then test that we can ping through. So if we set up an internal, (40.40.42.19.15), and this will just be IPv4. The remote address was 172.20.224. What was the address over here? 2, wasn't it? 2. And the remote OS will be the same. 40.40.42. This is quite the learning curve into MikroTik, that's for sure. It's going to be IBGP 172.20.224.1. Don't need multi-hop. Don't need to do anything here. And we will force self. Now, if we jump onto the Cisco, and if we just for shits and giggles, root out BGP 40.40.42.19.15. No BGP. Unicast. So we do neighbor 172.20.224.1 remote AS 1915. Activate, and then I'm going to do network 172.20.224.16. Would be 16, wouldn't it? Would be the next IPv4. So we take the 16 mask 255.255.255.240, and if I do IP root 172.20.224, no, I don't need to, because I'll just put that on the interface. Int G2 IP address 172.20.224.17 will be the first address. 240, no shut. Show IP root. We've got all of the IPv4 routes coming over to us from the MikroTik. So show BGP IPv4 unicast. There we go. So now I should be able to ping if that is coming over. Let's double check on the MikroTik sessions. There we go. See, so the internal one received that IPv4, but then the MikroTik is announcing the /26. So that should be all good. So now I should be able to go to here, take that, and then from the Cisco, I should be able to just go like that. Ping. What's it doing that for? Ping 172.20. Let's do 19.84. Hey, we're pinging Toronto. Let's ping Sydney. Spent a lot of time in Adelaide back in the day. Oh, so let's ping 172.20.19.83. There we go. Let's trace it. 172.20.19.83. We'll source that from G2. I definitely think it will be better if once we use the real hardware. So we go to our MikroTik and then boom, straight there because we peered directly. So do you have a looking? You don't have a looking glass server on there as well? Okay. Let's have a look at that looking glass and see if that's decided to play ball. No, the IPv6 is playing funny buggers. Let's yeah, that's the thing. It's one of those. Well, that's the thing. It's cool to have the ability to play with once. What I really want to do is like get to a point where I don't have to go to work and I can just have like a rented space where I can have a bunch of racks behind me. We can get an IP uplink, a transit link, and then we can just peer over that and start putting test kit in racks and do it all directly. That would be the plan to get to that stage. Why is Idion not receiving my IPv6 route now? I really don't understand why they're not. Let's take another. Where's my? So that was a /64 also. Okay. But was it? Or is it just because it's a. Is it a /64 on the link local? I always thought it was a 128. Because that one's fine on a 128. But then again as well, we can also like if other viewers get on there, once I get the router up as well, we can do a direct peering as well. Because I originally wanted to put it on there as a Cisco router and but the problem is a lot of the yeah, so that one's a 128, but this one we're having to put them in as a /64. Unless I'm gonna yeah, because I think normally it is a 128 on the link local. That's why it just displays it like that. I don't understand why they are not bringing in our. Why they're not bringing that in. They did receive it and they did import it. No, it's not. Okay. Let's do an IPv6 over to the Cisco. So it's our block. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I bought. That's why I've gone and bought the MikroTik, because I only have one public IP address for IPv4, but that one's on PPoE. And then that's going directly into the Unifier, but the Unifier trying to do WireGuard tunnels is absolute shite. And then I have a /48 IPv6, so I can pretty much do what I want on that front. So if I take that and I go on here and I do, so we don't forget, IPv6 unicast routing, int G2 IPv6 address, and let's give ourselves, let's do 81. So we are that on there. Show IPv6 base brief. And let's do config T, router, BGP, 42, 42, 42, 19, 15, address family, IPv6, network, 81, can't. So that's the one we're going to announce. And we need an IPv6 address on here. Int G IPv6 address. Interface towards the Cisco is this one. So it can just have .2. So IPv6 interface brief. We are. So T router BGP 42, 42, 42, 1915, address family, IPv6. Nope. Before we go in there, neighbor, because the Cisco one doesn't support that stuff that we want to do. So neighbor will be .1. Remote AS is 42, 42, 42, 1915. And address family IPv6, and we'll activate that. Let's create an int -v6. Just do an IPv6 on that. The remote address was .2. Its address is obviously .1. It's IBGP. Blah, 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 blah. Don't need to do anything there. Hop self. So we've now received an IPv6 route in from that. Now this one should be able to do show BGP IPv6 unicast. And now we've got all the IPv6 routes coming in to the Cisco. So now if I do a show IP int brief, no, IPv6, I'm going to take G2's address, which is this 81 subnet, so a separate one again. Now if we come to them, go to their toolbox, and we ping that. Yes, we get a response. Let's trace route it from London. So it goes from London across that one and then into that router. So that's the MikroTik, and then into the Cisco. So that's working. Let's jump over to these guys. Do a ping to the Cisco address. It can ping it. Let them trace route it. Okay. Where is my... I'm not getting it. Why are they not getting it? Definitely being announced, and I'm paired with them, so I don't understand why they're not accepting it. Routed bits. Let's see if we can reach one of the IPv6 addresses from the Cisco. Yes, we can. So we have IPv4 and IPv6 routes being advertised to us here. Let's maybe tidy up the peering. Where's that? Routing, filters. So let's do... Thanks, Zippity Doo. Have a good one. Many thanks for your help. Sorry about having to get a laptop out on the plane, but thank you very much. Have a good weekend. I want to do maybe I'm gonna bring the... Let's do an inbound rule. So for inbound, we're basically saying we're going to reject all of those, and then everything else we're going to accept. Okay, so let's try doing... I want to set the local preference. Right. I want to set local preference of 100, 200. And I don't know if it will let me set the AS path. But we'll set the med as 10. In primary. Let's see if it does that, and then I'm gonna try. I'm gonna create, say, like a in like backup path. Set preference to 100. Set you to 100. Local preference high means priority. Med low means priority. Primary backup. So I want you to be a primary. We'll sort out the what we accept and what we don't accept. And I'm just going to set you as backups. So you can come in as a lower priority as the others, in and out. I want the majority of the traffic to go to that one first. Backup. I took them on there, okay. Let's have a look on the Cisco. Do show IPv6 unicast. Show IP. Oop, show. Yeah. Oh, BGP. IPv4 unicast. Okay, so we haven't got any routes coming in again now. Routing. Look at the tables. I bet it wants. It's probably got a reject on there, hasn't it? Bastard. It's got a reject on there, hasn't it? I bet you have. I bet I've got to go at that. I bet I've got to go accept. Not as much. There we go. Local preference of 200. So all of those routes with the preference of 200 should be coming from that first pair. We'll see anything. Look, there we go. So anything with a 100 is coming from the other pair. Okay. Show IPv6 unicast. Good. So let's have a look at the looking glasses again. Back. Oh, there we go. They're now accepting a direct peering. So, Idion, we're directly peered with, and they're sending their traffic backwards and forwards to us directly. So that means I should now be able to trace route to my, not that, Control Z. Where's that? Show IPv6 int brief. So G2, I use this subnet. Perfect, that's direct. Make sure I can ping it. That's all good. That's all gravy. Right, let's have a look at this one. Where's their toolbox? If they trace, yeah, that's pretty much direct. Didn't they have a glass looking glass as well? So they're now showing IPv4 and IPv6 routes are in. So we've got both. That's all good. Yes, for sure. It's like it's the only way of doing it. It's like, unfortunately, it's not like, because in Europe, like RIP, they don't have the ability to have like the ability for you to easily get an ASN, uh, even just for playing with. The only way to kind of do it is to, oh, how do I mute this tab? Because it keeps doing this little knock, knock, knock. Whereas like in America and stuff like that, you can request one for testing, and they're a bit more lenient about it. Whereas like here, it's like, no, you can't have one unless you meet these criteria. Or the only other way to get one is to get a sponsor ISP to help you out with that. Right, so yeah, if you have a sponsor, but then you need to go through, you need to get an ISP to sponsor you, and then you'll obviously need to have them give you a small amount of their provider space. But if you really want to be able to do your own thing, then yeah, you're going to have to pay up some serious money. But then you've also got to, I think you've also then got to prove to them as well that you're going to be dual homing and all this other stuff. Otherwise, they're quite funny about it. But like, yeah, I would love to be able to do that. So let's do a trace route to routed bits. It should go pretty much direct because we are directly paired with them. Which one I'm pairing to? 16, which is Tokyo. So yeah, it's no wonder it's taking some time. $14, 239, 14. 239, 14. So that went via that one instead of R bits. Let's have a look at 50 euros. Yeah, for a sponsored one. Uh, okay, so let's go over there. Yep, I post a lot on LinkedIn. Post all my video content on there as well. Try to sort of like every time I put a video up, I post it over on LinkedIn also. Right, so we have the edge connected to 3 of them. See, that's the problem with them. You know why they have to go, especially because like now it's not like they're limited. You know, there's plenty of ASNs to go around. Yeah, just send it over. The link should be either in the description below. If not, it'll be on the links tab on the website. Show IPv6. BGP. IPv6 neighbors. Oh yeah, it's obsolete, isn't it? It wants unicast neighbors. Heaven forbid, you have to add an extra bloody word. Right, so I wonder as well then if the The real-time map is updated. So if we're doing 42, 42, 42, 1915. Oh, look at that. Perfect. There's Null0 Labs in the sea. There's quite a few active peerings on here. So obviously when I shut down the server, we will go offline, but once the MikroTik arrives tomorrow, we will be able to get a permanent peering online and put a test box and stuff like that behind. So there we go. I think we've achieved what we wanted. There you go. I've just received it. That's pretty damn cool to see that. So routed bits, we appeared all the way down in Melbourne. Did we appear in Melbourne? Yes, we appeared in Melbourne. Then we appeared in the UK to them. And we appeared to Germany at Idiom. So if we bring up the homepage, so I suppose the final thing to do is to lock down our route filters for the inbound so that we can protect what our DN42 peers are sending us. And then we also need to tidy up our WireGuard tunnels to just have those subnets to be allowed through there. I would still like some more clarification on whether these should all be /64s on here or whether or not they should be standardized on a /128, because kind of does lead to some confusion. Like, yeah, especially that one, it wouldn't ping until it was set as a /64. When it was a 128, it wouldn't. So I suppose it depends. So that depends then if the remote side has set it as a /64, doesn't it? If they'd set it as a 128, if we've set it as 128, would we need to ping it? I have to test that so I can know for sure. And then obviously because our Cisco only has doesn't have the ability to do the single peering session without doing, well, we could do where are you? Could do the peering from here to here like how we did on the previous video. Do it as an IPv6 and then change the next hop to the, because we have IPv4 and an IPv6 address between the two here. We could change the next hop, but now I suppose it doesn't really matter if we just have two individual sessions, one for BGP 6 and one for 4. Right, let's get an IP address on this desktop and then see if we can reach something else now on the No, I'll probably build it from scratch again, to be honest with you, because I'm going to have some other configuration that I'm going to need to do on there. But like I said, I think what I'm going to plan on doing is, because I'm currently, everything is all set up for Unify. So I have the Unify gateway in front. I think for testing, and then whilst I'm away, I probably won't have enough time to change everything out onto the MikroTik straight away. So what I'll do is I will probably put the MikroTik behind the Unify and give it a IPv6 subnet and then just route through to it. And then we can do that as a sole IPv6 gateway. And then once I come back off holiday, I will remove the Unify gateway, replace it with the MikroTik, have firewall rules to allow all of the internal LAN network to still carry on doing what it's doing now, all the Wi-Fi route points to work, and then have like a mini DMZ where we have the ability to connect it into the EVE-NG environment and plug in the real hardware rack and access the DN network as well. So the subnets we put on here, so we used /16. Yeah, I'll pick that up as soon as I've finished on here. So let me put this IP address in, and I will not spend too much longer on here tonight. So let's get at least the desktop talking to some service in the DN network, and then I think that'll be a good finishing point. So we'll set an IP address. I set 172.20.224.17 was the gateway, so 18. It's a 255.255.255.255.0. Gateway is 172.20.224.17. There is a there was a DNS, recursive DNS, wasn't there? So I should be able to use that. 172.20.053. One 172.20.053. Click on apply. And IPv6. And IPv6 subnet was show IPv6 interface brief 81. FD1E colon CA66 colon A0A D colon A1. And we'll just call this 10. Gateway is 1. The host can be 10. Prefix will be a 64. And DNS is FD42, D42, D42, 54, 1. Colon 10, 1, apply. So let's test if we can reach an actual DN host. Let's do edu.dn42. Nope. See if we can at least ping stuff first then. So let's ping 172.20.0.53. We can reach the DNS. Maybe some of these aren't online. Ping lg.derix.dn42. That's responding. So let's see if we can reach that. So that was a https lookingglass.derix. Yeah, that's fine. We'll accept that for the time being. Accept and continue. Then your VM. Perfect. So we've got full connectivity. So we've got, that's been a mission. That has been a mission. So we have our Edge MikroTik gateway. It is paired with 3 upstream providers via 3 WireGuard tunnels over a sole IPv6 underlay, just like how we did in the previous video in a lab. We receive all of our routes from our peers. So let's bring up the routing table on the Edge MikroTik. So yeah, so we've got 3 possible routes to each address. We are marking, obviously it doesn't show it on here, so you can't see it. Where's the terminal? Where is it? Routing, route, print. So can you see what the local preference is for an IPv6 address? Ah, there we go. So that's the preference for, so we're setting that with a preference of there. Where is, and this one's been set with a preference of 100. So that one's coming in from Idion. That's the one coming in from, where is IPv6 ones as well? Detail where, how do I say if it's an IPv6? F. So where APF equals IPv6. There we go. All right, so are you going to show me? So it doesn't, there it does. It does, I'm blind. There we go. It's 200. But again, it doesn't show it in the dashboard. It would have been good if you could just click and see it, but you can't. But then if you go to, if you go to IP routes, then we look at the standard IPv4 table, we can see we have a BGP tab and we can see the preference has been set and the med. But it doesn't show that for, say, a BGP route. So there's a bit of an inconsistency there. But hey. So I'm going to save that. That's saved anyway. We can close that one down. And I can close that. And I just want to see what else we can reach. As a internal services. Oh, they've got a search engine. Wonder what that looks like. So we want to go to BAAKA.DN42. It's the other one. Search.ANDROW.DN42. Nothing there. Let's try discover.dn42. Yeah, it doesn't look like a lot of these services actually respond. Which is a shame. No, not working. Can I ping it at least? Let's just see if that works. Ping BAAKA.dn42. It is responding. It's not displaying. HTTPS. https://baaka.dn42. Advanced. Let's just accept and continue. Although you shouldn't do that. Yay, there we go. We've reached the search engine. Wow. Okay. I think I'm going to call that a success. I'm going to call that a success. So that test works. So I'm happy with that. I am happy with that. I'm happy to see that we are online here, although it's going to go down the second I shut down, unfortunately, but I will take a quick screenshot of this so that we can post it online to show that we did manage to achieve the goal tonight. So I'm happy with that. I hope everybody found that enjoyable. Me clicking around, stressing. It was amazing to meet somebody there in chat that is able to check and see the session being built for. Which one was it for again? It was for the rooted bits one. So that's pretty good. So he was able to see that and diagnose that we weren't receiving and sending any traffic down there. I think I would call that successful. I will call that a success. That's no errors, no drops. It is quite a long way away. It's been established for 55 minutes. So we've held our BGP session up there to rooted bits for nearly an hour. What about this one? How long have we been up here as well? 2 hours. Cool. How long have we been doing this for? 3 hours. Okay. So we spent quite a long time. We spent quite a long time. This one has been established since 8 o'clock. So that's quite a long time. Although that doesn't seem to make sense. And Idian as well. Or Edon to Frankfurt. So yeah, I'm going to call that a night. If I go over to here, I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone who came along and chatted and joined in. It's great to actually have some interaction with the people who's been watching all of my videos. So hopefully we'll be able to try and get some more of these going occasionally as well, and do some messing around live. And like I said, once the real device arrives, I'll post an update, and then we will go and have a look around that box and see how it works, and we'll plug it in, and we'll see if we can get it to do this and make it a little bit more of a permanent connection. So on that note, I'm going to say good night, and I'll wish you all a good weekend, and I'll see you on the next one or in the next video. So thank you very much for spending your time with me. Catch you later.